Hi, I'm Barry Sahazian, and this is Effective Bass Soloing Techniques number 2, Bebop Scales. In number 1, I covered bebop enclosures, which is simply approaching a chord tone from below by a half step and above by a whole step. There's a lot more that can be done with that lesson, but I'm going to continue on and just cover lightly bebop scales. They are a great addition to your vocabulary of improvisational ideas. I'll explain how they work right now. Let's jump right into it. First of all, what is a bebop scale? There are major bebop scales, dominant bebop scales, minor bebop scales. They all have one thing in common. They add a single note to each one of the scales to increase the size of the scale from 7 notes to 8 notes. Now there's 8 notes. They're a lot easier to negotiate because it's an even number. When you play a major scale as is, you wind up in an awkward position with that number 7. So that is why the beboppers somewhere along the line decided they would add a single note to the scale to make it 8. And they work famously, and it's a lot easier to negotiate and to put lines in spontaneously because they fit like a glove. I'm going to start with the major scale. They add one note to the major scale, and that would be between the 5th and the 6th degree. So it would be a flat 6 or a sharp 5. I like to think of it as a flat 6. So it sounds like this. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1. So you start in 1, you end in 1. So you can easily ascend and descend. Now, if you were to ascend and descend with the major scale with the 7 notes, you don't wind up on 1 after you finish the scale. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and... Another thing you must understand is the theory behind these lines. What makes it sound good as well? You have to have chord tones on the strong beats. Strong beats would be beats 1 and 3. You know, like a root and 5th bass line. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. But if you didn't land on the squarely on the 3rd beat and the 1st beat, it would sound, you may want to make it sound like that. It would sound like... You may want to anticipate the beat in a line and make it work, but for the most part, the lines go by the rule of strong beats for chord tones. So watch this. Here's a major scale, and I'll count it, and you will see that we wind up on a weak beat part of the scale. 1 and 2 and 3. That's okay. You're on a strong beat for the root and a strong beat for the 5th. But what happens when you finish the scale, you wind up on a weak beat. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and the root on a weak beat. That makes the strength of the bebop line because you wind up on a strong beat when you get to the octave. That makes the difference, all the difference in the world. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and bebop scale. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1. Here's the difference. That's it. And that carries through on all the other scales and things. And the strong beat and the weak beat theory is very important. And it will come forefront when you learn these lines and you really want to make them sound good, even when you may be writing melodies and things like that. Like I said, you may intentionally want a chord tone to be on a weak beat for effect. Now the fingerings are another thing. You can't stay in position with this bebop scale because you have that one note, the flat 6. You can put it there, or you can put it there, or you can change the position altogether. I will show you the 3 ways that I feel that work best. And as always, it makes a difference of where you're playing your lines, whether this one works better than that one. That would be the end. What I'm doing there is I'm I'm shifting over there with my baby finger and then sliding down with my baby finger to get back in position. So you're in position, and then you hit that flat 6, you got to slide out of position, and then you have to go back in position. So another way of doing it would be to put the flat 6 on the other side as you go up. I personally think that one is a little easier. And yet another way, which I think is the easiest to negotiate physically, it's a little more, it takes a little more thought. So that would be to play it, the C, starting with your baby finger, actually in the 5th position. So now you're playing that flat 6 while you're in position, but you're going out of position to get the major 7. So you're still shifting, but another way yet. So that's one consideration, and I'll write them out all 3 ways. You can practice them, but I would say just choose one that's the most comfortable for you and practice that one, and then try negotiating the other ones as you go along to add it to your technique of this line. I hope you learned something from this and maybe got inspired to study jazz a little further. I'm going to take it a lot further for those of you who do, and if you like this video, please subscribe, hit the bell to be notified of all the upcoming videos, like and comment. I thank you for stopping by and hope to see you again.